Secretary, thank you so much for appearing before our committee today. In the last administration, the United States enacted financial sanctions and export controls against 24 PRC companies that helped Beijing advance its territorial claims in the South China Sea. So I would like to ask you, how many sanctions or export controls has this Biden administration used against PRC companies that is supporting either the military construction or harassment in these waters?
Yeah. So look, all told, in a variety of arenas, the Biden administration has done, somewhere between 800 and 900 sanctions against companies, against individuals on a very regular basis. I think we have continued the sanctions that have been put in place and added to them associated with some national security entities in China. I will say frankly, to be honest, Congresswoman, you know this because you've traveled in the region, the most important steps that we can take right now are capacity building in the Philippines and linking the Philippines with a larger group of nations.
About Philippines, yes, thank you for raising that. I was at the Shangri-La dialogue, and I was attending there when I listened to President Marcos making presentation when he was asked about the red line question. President Marcos said the death of a Filipino citizen is very, very close to what we define as an act of war. Do you agree with that?
Look, I can't speak for President Marcos, a man that I admire greatly. I would simply say that our security partnership between the Philippines...
So we have a mutual defense treaty with the Philippines. So if a Filipino sailor was killed by a CCP, Coast Guard, water canyon, or deliberate ship ramming, would that invoke mutual defense treaty?
So we have signaled very directly, we've reassured the Philippines and signaled to the Chinese that our defense treaty does apply in circumstances on the high seas involving Philippine naval assets and sailors. I'm not going to get here and say, like on this particular hypothetical, I would simply say you are exactly correct, Congresswoman, that the security treaty between the United States and the Philippines is very much active in these complex scenarios.
So let me get to the next question about, I have a legislation called the PAID Act, Protecting American Innovation and Development Act. This is a tool to expose foreign adversaries who steal U.S. intellectual property related to critical national security technologies, because as you know, CCP steals up to $600 billion worth of U.S. intellectual property and trade secrets annually. So we need to use every tool available to stop this obvious theft and hold the CCP accountable. So when Fujian Jinhua stole U.S. intellectual property that was tied to semiconductor production, the BIS and the End User Review Committee put that on the entity list. So do you agree with that action, and what did that do?
So look, I would simply say that I think the larger effort that you described to harden American companies, our governments, to intrusions and efforts to steal our industrial, commercial, technological secrets, that is a important order and incredibly vital to our own national security.
So do you believe that theft of national security-related intellectual property by a foreign adversary like PRC should be a basis for an entity listing?
I do.
Okay, thank you. In my travels in the Indo-Pacific, as you know, and also attending Shangri-La dialogue, having conversations with our counterparts at the governments there, and also with the U.S. defense startups actively participating with Indo-PACOM, it's clear that the U.S. defense industrial base is strained, and we need to revive our shipbuilding industry. And even Indo-PACOM Admiral Paparo says, we're not ready if something happens. So we need to activate all of our bases, all around. So strained defense industrial base does not send a clear deterrence signal to our adversaries. So can you tell me, and our committee, how are you thinking through supporting our U.S. partners and allies and our readiness in the Indo-Pacific?
Yeah, thanks. It's a great question. In truth, we downsized our military-industrial complex substantially in the 1990s, and we've really not taken the steps to diversify. We need more firms. We need more capacity. But in addition, to be honest, Congressman, we need to work more with allies and partners. We need to work towards co-production. We've seen both co-production, co-design arrangements between the United States and Japan, South Korea, and others. I think those are incredibly important. They're difficult to arrange, a lot of the procedural stuff that has already been discussed. Ultimately, we are going to need to step up our defense industrial base across the board. And we're in the midst of that, but it's not a short-term challenge. It's a longer-term challenge.
My time's up.